No joke. Anyway, so the most dreaded question, Deanna kicked it off there. The most dreaded question for a lot of us, you get it at these things all the time, so you come prepared, but sometimes it hits you completely out of the blue. Somebody walks up to you and says, or you're in a conversation and say, so what do you do for work? So what do you do? And it's terrifying because it's terrifying not because you hope nobody will ever ask you that question. In fact, as a business owner or as somebody who's trying to sell something to someone, right? You really hope for that question. You're really looking for it. But it's dreaded because it's always a little bit of a letdown if you watch their eyes glaze over just a little bit when you start explaining what it is that you do. Am I alone here? Is anybody feel me on this? Come on. You've seen it happen. And so, we try to come up with creative ways to talk about what we do, to grab people's interest, but so many of our efforts fall short. Just a brief story about me in a past life. In a past life, I was a minister, and I was a pastor of a church. I don't do that anymore, but at the time, it was what I was doing was the most important thing to me. And I'd say vacuums, insurance, and religion, probably top 3 most difficult things to sell, folks. So you're kidding yourself if you were thinking I wasn't in sales at the time. You're really trying to work it. And like so many of us who have to, kind of sell ourselves everywhere we go. If you're blessed like I am to have children, you know that like one of the top places to sell yourself is, at any school function, elementary school function, parents, you get an entirely new crop of people that you never would have rubbed shoulders with before. And so sometimes you try to answer that question, what is it that you do for work? Because maybe it's a good connection, maybe a potential client or something. And, as a pastor, everybody's your mark. So, I'm standing in line. You guys are getting the real thing today. Don't tell your pastor that I said this, okay? He'll be mad at me. So, I'm in line in the school cafeteria, and, I'm standing next to this other dad. We're roughly the same age, and he kind of looks at me, and he's like, so what do you do for work? And I tell you what, like, if I had said vacuum cleaner salesman, I would probably get more responses than when you say you're a pastor. And I was just sick of the number one top thing that frustrates me, which is being ignored. And so I was going to take a creative approach on this. Anybody ever tried to mess with your job title a little bit to get interest, to pique interest? Okay, so I was standing there. I was like, I'm a spiritual leader. I help connect people with God. And people have a very, I don't know if you know this, but most people you meet have a very fine-tuned, what I like to call, technical term here, the BS meter. Y'all know what I'm talking about? And they can smell, I don't know if you know this about BS, but BS stinks, and people can smell it from around the corner, down the street, next county over, and especially if it's standing right in front of them. And this guy kind of looks at me with a kind of a sarcastic smirk on his face and no malice in his voice. He goes, oh, that's really cool, man. Keep working at it. Maybe someday you can be a pastor. And we didn't talk for the rest of the evening. He wasn't a bad guy. He was a really nice guy, but I was just totally deflated. I was like, he saw right through everything that I was trying to do. And sometimes we do that. We mess with our job title, or we try to change how we describe ourselves and what we do. And so what I'm going to talk to you today about is reframing how you talk about what you do, rather than just messing with your job title. Because nobody's buying it, folks. Whether you call them a sandwich artist, that's a fast food employee at Subway, right? Whether you call them a customer relationship management specialist, everybody knows you're a sales rep. So let's cut to the chase. Let's be clear about what we do, but how do we get into, because there's a good motivation there, kind of messing with your job title, trying to find creative ways to talk about what you do. How do you get in through the side door? And how you get in through the side door is really there are 2 fundamental ways that we do that in marketing, and especially in how we communicate about what we do. How we talk about what we do is so important. So important. Essentially, that's marketing. If you put it in a pretty picture, or if you put it in a cool video, or you slap it up on your website, when you boil down marketing, it's how you talk about what you do. People buy things after they hear or read words that convince them to do so. People will sign up for your service after they hear or read words that convince them to do so. The words are the most important part of your marketing. So let's hit 2 different levels. You guys with me? 2 different levels. The first one is this idea of it's not what you are out there doing, but it's about what people, or the problems that people are out there in the world that they're experiencing. Don't talk just about what you offer or what you do. I'm in real estate. I'm in sales of some kind. I provide a consulting service or whatever it is. What we want to do in order to pique somebody's interest and not be ignored, right? That's the ultimate goal, is not be ignored, is to talk about the problems that people are experiencing. I think somebody's phone is
Sorry about that.
It's all right. You're popular. So in order to not be ignored, we have to talk about the problems that people are experiencing and how what we have to offer intersects with that. How what we have to offer comes in as a solution to the problems that they're experiencing. And problems are always felt. So in marketing, we're talking about feelings. We're talking about internal obstacles that people need to overcome in their life and how we can help them. So how you really want to do that is you really want to think long and hard about what it is you offer and what somebody in their life might be experiencing as a problem. So for example, for my business, for a digital marketing agency, the problem that folks are experiencing, and maybe some of you folks experience this as well, is the problem of being ignored, being overlooked, being passed by the customers that you want, and how to get them to stop in their tracks. So I talk a lot about that problem, about not wanting to be ignored, about not wanting to get lost in the crowd. Do you feel like you're getting lost in the noise of advertising, and how can you stand out from that? So whatever it is that you do, whoever it is that your ideal client is, they experience a problem on a daily basis that you are the perfect savior to come along and help them from that problem. And the way to talk about this is to boil down what it is that people are feeling. And so you want to write down a feeling word. So if you're taking notes right now, or if you're kind of brainstorming this, think in your mind, either take a mental note or write it down. What is a feeling word that people come up against? Maybe it's frustration with their current home. Maybe it's a dream body that they would like to have, and frustration with their current health. Whatever that may be, that's the thing that you want to lead with. And when it comes to what Deanne was talking about writing on the app or on Chambermaster or on any social media profile, there is a 1, 2, 3 formula that you should always follow when you're writing a bio or a profile of the first thing that folks are going to read on your different profiles. And the first thing is to address the problem succinctly and clearly. Are you tired of having your business be ignored by the customers you want? That's one of the ones that I use. And then just state very clearly, very, very clearly what it is that you do. I provide digital marketing services that cause your brand to stand out. And then you want to end it with this, and this is the second and final thing, which is the identity transformation. So every negative emotion that we have is about some way that we wish our life was different, right? When you're frustrated, I don't know about you folks, but 2020, it's weird, right? I mean, rewind 10 years ago, 2020 was supposed to be awesome. And the number one reason why 2020 was supposed to be awesome? Flying cars. Man, where did the flying cars, somebody needs to call Elon or somebody, we got to get those flying cars going. But that frustration that you feel when you're in traffic, I don't know, I live out in UP now, just recently moved. I don't know if you guys know this, but in the morning, Route 16 is the worst place to be you have ever been in your life, especially if you're alone, because you're just watching everybody in that HOV lane just fly by you, and you're sitting there, and all that frustration. If somebody was to invent flying cars, that would be that would be the thing to do. They would have a problem baked in, they would be able to sell those things like hotcakes. And the identity transformation would be freedom. It would be, I'm free to be wherever I want to be. I'm free to gain back all that lost time in my life. So what is that identity transformation that your company, that your product or service offers folks? It's just as simple as whatever that frustration that they're feeling in the problem, whether it's frustration, whether it's confusion, whether it's feeling overwhelmed, whether it's feeling under-resourced. When you end your bio, whatever it is, you want to write something that has to do with who they get to be after, who they get to be. So what's the opposite of frustration is freedom. What's the opposite of overwhelmed is competent and clear. And so you want to kind of reflect those words. So 3 sections to write your bio. Talk about the problem that folks are facing. The second section is clearly state the service that you provide. And the third section is to state how their life is going to be. Real quick example of what this would be. Let's just say that you're at a mixer like this, and there are 2 people who do the exact same thing at one of these, and they're both at-home chefs. They come into your home, they cook meals for you, prepare it for your family. I don't know about you, I couldn't afford that, but that would be super cool, right? Like just have somebody come in and like, be extra good if they did the dishes too. But let's just say they're both kind of mixing around here. Here's the example. So you walk up to at-home chef A and you ask, what do you do? And he just kind of rubs his hands and he says, well, I'm an at-home chef. Oh, okay. What's the follow-up question? How long have you been doing that? Or how did you get into that? Or any number of follow-up questions that he's not hoping that you're asked, because that's about history. That's about, that's not about a sale. Let's say you walk up to at-home chef number 2 and you say, what do you do? And he says, you know how families are so busy right now and rarely get a chance to sit down and enjoy a meal together anymore? I'm an at-home chef. I come in, take care of all of your meals so that you can really be a connected family. Wow. Which guy do you think is giving out more cards, right? Yeah. Which business is getting more leads? So that's the power of that little formula. So my thing shut off. I'm pretty sure I'm 10 minutes and 13 minutes now. So I'm over time, so I'm John Kelley. I run a marketing agency called Public Identity. We help you stand out from the crowd so you can stop being ignored. We have one specific service that I'd love to plug, which is called a brand script, which basically takes this philosophy and turns your business into a story that's about your customers, that by the end of it, you're going to be generating leads because they're going to really see how you come into their life and solve problems. It applies to your website, converts your website and helps turn visitors into customers. You can put it all over your social media. It'll give you a bio, a one-liner, all that kind of stuff. So if you're interested in that, get in contact with me. I'm always available for chamber one-on-ones, and on my website, there's a little schedule a call thing, but you don't need to do that because you can just ask for my card and we'll talk, okay? Thanks for your time.